Hello, my name is Veronica Guardado, and I'm a resident of Maywood, and I've been on the council for 2 terms.
You're currently on the council?
I'm currently not on the council. I left the council in 2015. This was an empty lot, and basically this park was built with no cost to the taxpayers of Maywood. It was built on grants and organizations. It was a partnership with also local government and the county, the state being involved. So we were able to bring this park to this part of Maywood, which is the west side of Maywood. The west side of Maywood doesn't really have any large free spaces. We have Pixley Park, which is really small, but that's about it. So we thought that this would be a great place to put another free space. The reason why the park is Benito Juarez, I can give you the background on that, is there is a resident who lives really close to here. And when he heard that the park was being built, every year on Benito Juarez's birthday, he would stand in front of the empty lot and have a petition signed by residents to name the park after Benito Juarez. He did that for years until the park was finished, and then when the name of the park, he submitted his recommendation with his petitions, and the council voted. The artist heard about this story because one day when he came by, he happened to see the gentleman, and so that inspired him to then bring that atmosphere, or I guess in the artwork. And so he studied the town, the region in Mexico that Benito Juarez is from, and that's why we have the mosaics and the artwork and the different sculptures, because it's coming from that region, of a representative of that part of Mexico.
So first, let's clear something up. When exactly were you part of the council?
December 2007 to December 2015.
So it was from December 2007 to December 2015, so that's 2 terms.
2 terms.
Awesome. So while you were on the council, what were your biggest accomplishment? What would you consider your biggest accomplishment overall? As I'm sure there was many.
There was many. There's a lot of large accomplishments. I think the largest one is the Maywood Education Fair. That it's a collaboration with Cal State Fullerton. This year will be our 10th annual education fair. Cal State Fullerton comes to the city of Maywood and facilitates a workshops the whole day where they want to encourage the families to help to give them guidance in how to prepare their kids for college, higher education. The other part of that is we want to create a college culture in Maywood, because the census that was taken in 2000 showed that less than 4% of Maywood residents have a college degree.
Wow, that was definitely needed.
It's definitely needed. So I believe that that's my largest accomplishments. I like to name a couple of others that I thought was pretty good. Bringing in the sheriffs was another one that we promised the community we were going to make some changes with public safety. The third one is we were able to collaborate with legislation to get some assistance with improving the water quality in Maywood, especially in Water Company number 2, which is this part, the west side of Maywood, which also encouraged residents to become more involved. In fact, in the 2 terms that I served on the council, the residents got so involved that they were able to take over the board, have new membership on the board, and really make the changes that were needed. And the water quality has improved tremendously in this part of Maywood.
I like to ask fair questions. Along with your biggest accomplishments that you mentioned, and I know there's a lot more. What are your biggest disappointments or failures in the sense that you weren't able to accomplish while you were on council in the terms that you were there?
I think the biggest failure was I trusted the wrong people at the beginning. And the reason why I call that a failure is because it delayed me from really seeing what was happening the first 2 years I was on the council, which really slowed up a lot of changes that could have been done earlier and unfortunately were done later. The second part to that I really feel that was a great failure is not really pushing communication from going out of City Hall to the community and to the residents. Unfortunately, we were still stuck in a part of Maywood where there was a lot of, the rumor mill goes around, people not being able to get the right information. And, people can say, oh, well, they can go down to City Hall and get the documents. But you know what? Truly, in our city, we have to keep in mind that our residents feel more comfortable with reading and speaking Spanish back in that time period. And a lot of the documentations are in English, and there's also in a language that's written in lawyers' terms, which, also took me a while to understand. So I can just understand that part of it. The other part of it, too, is our community, everybody here works. By the time they come home, City Hall is closed. By the time they leave for work, City Hall is not even open yet. And so I feel that was a second failure on our part, is not really pushing to get communication out of City Hall to the residents. And part of that was because of financial limitations. But I really wish that we had tried earlier. We really didn't push the newsletters out until like the second term. The second term, and I really wish that we had kind of started earlier than that.
I really want to get a sense of what your personal position is, not only the use for whether it be medical or recreational. I want to know your overall position on marijuana.
That's a really hot topic. Okay, well, personally, I'm not really into cannabis myself. I'm not into any kind of drugs. I don't believe in drugs. I don't believe there's a recreational use for drugs, honestly, to tell the truth. However, I don't believe either in forcing my opinion onto anybody else. Everybody is an adult. They can make their own decision what they want to do with their minds, with their bodies, and everything else. So that's my personal opinion.
So it's more of a civil libertarian position.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Now, the other position on that is, yes, it's been legalized in the state of California. What I wish which would happen is, what I'm seeing now is commercials where now they're making them in shapes of gummy bears, and I really don't like that. To me, it's like, I know they say, oh, well, the kids can't buy it, but the kids see it. And little kids, what the first thing they do is they see the gummy bears, they think it's a candy. So I just really have a mixed feeling on the way I guess it's being manufactured and the production of it, but that's really my stand on it.
I want to know what your thoughts are on the current situation of the homeless community. I can't say growing because it wouldn't be fair. I think it's booming in all East LA counties in the county. But what are your thoughts as far as the homelessness here in the city of Maywood?
Well, I've lived in Maywood for a long time, and we've always had a homeless population. Yes, you're right. It has boomed in the last few years. It's gotten to the high numbers that we've never seen before. But after being on the council, what I've realized that this homeless situation is really, it's really down to three issues that we really, as a community, as a city, even as a county, even as a state, nationwide, we haven't addressed.
Which are?
Economics, addiction, and mental health. I've spoken to the sheriffs and asked them, when you see the homeless, what do you see? Tell us, because they're on the streets. And they've given us the information. They give the information to the people, the men and women on the streets, letting them know where they can go for housing, because there is a place down here in Bell. Some will take advantage of it. Some don't want to even use it. It's because they don't want to follow. They've told us they don't want to follow the restrictions that are placed on them. However, some people need help. We're in economic times where you're like one paycheck away from being homeless, honestly. And jobs are not as many as they used to be. A lot of things are changing, and that's why it's really important that we, when it comes to the economics, I think that's why it's important for us to really get our children to be ready for higher education so they can be prepared to set up their own careers for their future, and hopefully, they're never caught in a situation like this. The addiction, on the other hand, it's always been a problem in the States, not just the city of Maywood, that causes people to really be hooked on something and depend on something which becomes a priority in their life. I've never experienced it, so I can't speak on their behalf. I don't know what they're going through personally, but just from what you see, just from what I've observed from people on the streets, it's really taken over who they are, I think. And then, of course, then there's the mental health, which honestly, I'm kind of ashamed to say this. I don't even know, do we have anything for people that suffer from mental health that can't afford to pay for hospital bills? Is there a place for them to go to get assistance? Is there any way to help them? I don't know.
What are your thoughts on the current trash situation, the trash collection situation here in Maywood?
Okay, so first of all, I don't know all the details of the reason why the city of Maywood was attempting to end the contract with the previous trash haulers.
Which was?
Republic. Because, of course, if I don't know if people are aware, but when the city is in either potential litigation or litigation with any person or entity, it's not disclosed publicly yet until everything is completed. So unfortunately, because of that, unfortunately, we don't have the details. So I don't know the details. So I don't know if it was a good idea to do it or not to do it to terminate their contract. However, I can speak on the new company, which is CWS. The contract was started in September of 2018. My comments on that is I feel that the whole process was handled poorly. One, there was no transition period between the old company and the new company. Two, the residents were not notified at all in any way until after it had all been done. Three, the new company is not consistent. They don't come. We're supposed to have our trash picked up on Thursdays. Sometimes they come on Thursdays, sometimes they don't. Sometimes they pick up all the bins, sometimes they don't. We're having a really big issue with commercial trash. If you go to Food for Less, if you go to other parts, you're going to see that their bins are like overflowing. And I've heard from the businesses that the company doesn't take any ownership on that issue. It's all the business's fault. So right now, it's not a good situation. And we have, the third problem with that is we have an issue with the big bulk items that the recent council just went ahead and implemented a process to help in trying to pick up this bulk item because it wasn't being done.
Okay, so is this the same council that did the switch? When I say the same council, obviously it's from Maywood, right. But are the members who made the switch still on the council that are making this new change? Is it a positive thing, a negative thing? How is that going to affect the community?
Yes. Well, right now, as of November of 2018, we had elections. Yes. So the majority of the Maywood Council changed. So we have a new majority now. Medina's no longer in the majority of the council. He's in the minority right now. So the three members who've taken the majority council is Mayor de la Riva, Mayor Pro Tem Ricardo Lara, and Council Member Eber Marquez. Since they've been on council, they have made major changes. One is they are looking at the trash hauler situation in the city of Maywood. They cannot give the public any kind of information still because it's all involving, contracts, so it has to be behind closed doors for right now. So what they call a closed session. But they did implement that new process of picking up the large bulk, which will help. So they are hearing what the community is saying, they're listening to what the community is telling them, and they're doing something about it.
And we can finalize with this. I think this is be a great time to end the interview. We've gone a little bit long, but I do appreciate your time. I want to know where you see Maywood in the next 2 to 5 years with the changes that are happening. Do you think we're going to get the trash hauler situation picked up?
I hope so. I'm hoping that the trash hauler situation gets taken care of, which is one big fiasco for the city. I hope that the budget gets back on track because the last 3 years we've done a lot of spending on multiple attorneys that were not needed for lawsuits that had no base. And the mayor, the new council majority has made it a point to look over all that litigation that was started. And I know that some probably, I think, have either already ended, but I'm not really sure. And then that would also help with our costs. With all of that being done, The biggest thing that I have to say is with the November 2018 election, I've seen this great momentum within the community itself to be more involved with what's happening in the city. I hope that momentum 2 years from now, 5 years from now, is not the same, but even larger, that more people come to the meetings. They don't have to come to like I tell people, they don't have to come to every meeting, but you should drop by, check out the agenda, see if it's a topic you're interested in, come by and find out what the information is. And people can make comments during the meeting, before and after the meeting. They get 3 minutes to say whatever they want to say to the council. So, and they can talk to the council members afterwards because they hang around. I hope that momentum keeps going. I want more people to get involved. I think if that happens with people who care about Maywood, who really want the city to strive, because we are a great little city, we're going to see more great things. We've already seen great things. We have 2 new parks that had been built, by Nito Juarez and Pine Avenue. We've had parks that were remodeled. Pixley Park was completely remodeled. Things can definitely happen if we all work together.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Veronica, I really appreciate your time. Maybe next time we can do interview in Spanish so we can keep the trend going.
I'll tell you the same thing, yes.
Yes, right now I want to focus on English because it's a lot easier for me to conduct the interview, but I know, there's a lot of people that are going to want to see this in Spanish, and maybe I'll hire our mutual friend, Pablo, to interpret it and maybe make subtitles or something. So we'll see what we can do. But again, I really appreciate your time. Let's get the rest of the day going, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you
very much for this
Thank
opportunity.
Thank you.